Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Lyrilusc Yugioh deck profile for post Brothers of Legend. It feels like I did just update the Lyrilusc deck. In fact, I did with the release of Synchro Storm, but we got even more support to better the Lyrilusc playstyle with draw power and a new spell card just to stop monster effects, which were definitely a problem when setting up your main go-to playstyle in the Lyrilusc deck as a whole. So very happy with the results of all the new support we got for the deck in total. It is an Xyz deck that focuses on rank summoning, rank 1 monsters using all the different Lyrilusc level 1 monsters and benefiting from being winged beast monsters altogether. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Lyrilusc monsters, we are running 3 Lyrilusc Celestine Wagtail. If this card is special summon, you can add 1 Lyrilusc spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If this card's in your graveyard, you can target 1 Lyrilusc Xyz monster you control and attach it to it as material. You can only use each effect of Celestine Wagtail once per turn. So we do have the newest spell card being Lyrilusc Bird Strike. So before you even go into any of your Xyz summons, you can special summon out your Celestine Wagtail and then search out your Bird Strike, activating it. So if you control a Lyrilusc monster, negate the effects of all face-up monsters, making it so your opponent can't activate any monster effects thanks to that search and add from this monster. I also run 3 of the second newest main deck monster, being Lyrilusc Barrel Canary. If this card is in your hand, you can target 1 Lyrilusc monster in your graveyard, special summon both this card and that monster. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except for Xyz monsters. You can only use this effect of Barrel Canary once per turn, and a wind monster that was Xyz summoned with it gains 200 attack, and its control cannot switch, meaning your opponent can't take it with triple tactics talent or any other means, and also being a way to special summon out your Celestine Wagtail back onto the field, thanks to this card gaining the effect to add the spell or trap, and then going for the rank 2 play, or more for any of the other, I said rank 2, rank 1 play, using the 2 monsters and those cards. I also run 3 Lyrilusc Turquoise Warbler. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If it's special summoned from the hand, you can special summon 1 Lyrilusc monster from your hand or graveyard. You can use this effect of Lyrilusc Turquoise Warbler once per turn. Another great target would be your Celestine Wagtail, being a special summon option from the hand or graveyard. Gives you 2 more monsters and the search off of this card. It's a 3 of. We're just maxing out all the numbers for our Lyriluscs because they all work very well together. The biggest problem I would say is just getting those numbers into your hand, which we do have an immense amount of draw power in the deck now, thanks to some of the cards from Brothers of Legend, which we'll get to when we get to the spell cards. I also run 3 of the Lyrilusc Cobalt Sparrow. If this card is special summon, you can add 1 level 1 winged beast monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Cobalt Sparrow once per turn, and a wind monster Xyz that was summoned using this card gains the effect. Your opponent cannot target it with card effects. So with the monsters being able to hit some pretty big attack power, and also other ones that can just return your opponent's monsters in general, you really do want to rely on this card as an added option for protecting your cards from being destroyed by your opponent, but also an easy special summon can search out another card to set up even more Xyz plays with that search. And lastly, for the Lyrilusc monsters, I run 3 Lyrilusc Sapphire Swallow. If you control a winged beast monster, you can special summon this card, both this and 1 level 1 winged beast from your hand. You can only use this effect of Lyrilusc Sapphire Swallow once per turn, and a wind Xyz monster gains the effect. If it was Xyz summoned, you can target 1 Lyrilusc monster in your graveyard and attach it to it as Xyz material. Giving you more Xyz material just means more resources for your Lyrilusc playstyle. And once again, I max out all the numbers for the Lyriluscs just because they work very well having these available options. A lot of them for that setup are a once per turn, but as long as you have those numbers and those special summons, you have more and more cards to extend into many different plays. The other hand trap option for the winged beasts come in the form of DD Crow. It's just a quick effect to discard, target card in the graveyard, and banish it. This is an excellent card to use if your opponent has Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer, because once it's destroyed and in the graveyard, you can then just drop DD Crow, banishing it before it would be special summoned back onto the field. It's also a winged beast monster, so if need be, it can be a level 1 monster for the special summon, since it's just a level 1 winged beast for a good majority of the different special summons you used for your Lyriluscs. And then lastly, for the rest of the monsters in the main deck, I'm just running 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This is just another hand trap preference of choice. You can try Nibiru, Effect Veiler, you name it. For this last spot, I just want to make sure that you do run the DD Crow. It's very, very good for the Wing Beast lineup. And then this last spot can just be, like I said, hand trap of choice. You can even try Droll and Lockbird. It's another level 1 option if you need to go to that method and resort to that. That's it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Lyrilusc Bird Call. You take 1 Lyrilusc monster from your deck and either add to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Then you can special summon 1 Lyrilusc monster with a different name from your hand. You can only activate 1 Lyrilusc Bird Call per turn, so it's more graveyard setup and just a really good way to set up Celestine Wagtail, whether you need it to special summon from your hand initially if it's already in your hand, or you can set it up in the graveyard and then have the special summon option for Barrel Canary from your hand for that special summon, or even one of the other Lyrilusc monsters to gain the additional effects. But it's a definite 3 of. This card just is plain search and setup. So running it, and also with some of our other numbers for ratios, we are running 3 of the newest spell for the Lyriluscs, and that is Lyrilusc Bird Strike. If you control a Lyrilusc monster, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent control currently until the end of the turn. You can activate 1 Lyrilusc Bird Strike per turn. Like I said before, some of your big plays will revolve around you wanting to summon out a Lyrilusc monster that your opponent may be expecting. So you want to make sure they don't have any, monster effects on the field that can stop those cards, or you at least maybe want to bait out those card effects by activating the Bird Strike first, stopping that effect negation. It's not like a Dark Ruler No More where they can't, activate anything in response to this card, but if they have a once per turn card effect that can negate anything you activate, making sure that they take this card out first makes you clear then for the rest of your Lyrilusc monsters. And one of the other new spells from the Brothers of Legend set is Wing Requital. This card, if all monsters you control are Wing Beast monsters, and you control at least 2 monsters with different original names, you pay 600 life points to draw 1 card. You can activate 1 Wing Requital once per turn. This is just draw power in the deck. It's great because you can easily control those numbers. Before you go for the Exceed Summon, you'll control 2 different Lyrilusc monsters. That's the draw, and just 600 life is that easy of a draw as well. You're going to invest in a lot of different Exceeds plays, which will eat up the cards in your hand. So having a draw 2 card in the deck is definitely another 3 of. It's just, like I said, draw power. It is a once per turn, but even if you open up another one, you can easily just set up another play next turn with more of your monsters. Even if you just have the 1 Exceeds monster, as long as you have another differently named main deck monster, there's another draw 2 right there. And then those 2 draw cards you draw into can give you more of an Exceeds play to go into. I also run, for some of the lower numbers for the Lyrilusc cards, 2 of the Lyrilusc Bird Sanctuary. It's a continuous spell. You can target 2 Wing Beast Exceeds monsters you control, attach one of those monsters to the other's material, and transfer its materials to that monster's. If you control an Exceeds monster with 3 or more materials, you can draw 1 card. You can only use each effect of Lyrilusc Bird Sanctuary once per turn. So imagine you have Bird Sanctuary draw, and then the additional Wing Requital. So if you activate this first, and then Bird Sanctuary, that's 3 draws in 1 turn. It's pretty crazy just how easy you can do this with the deck, and what you can rely on for this setup comes in handy when you just need more and more of your draw options using these cards in the deck as well. And as for additional draw power that we run in the deck, I also run 3 Pot of Desires. Now, with this as a potential card you can draw into, my biggest thing would be that you just have a draw 5 in the same turn. If you draw into this card with Wing Requital, or vice versa, draw into Wing Requital with Pot of Desires, and have the Bird Sanctuary on the field, that's 5 cards in 1 turn that you drew into. 5 potential cards to help set up plenty of your plays with the deck. You name it. All of this available to you with these cards that you run. It really does come in handy when you want just like resources in your hand to use. That's why I run 3 Desires, and why I also run multiples of a good number of cards. You definitely do want to run 3 Wing Requital, but you also have the 3 ofs for the good majority of the Lyrilusc cards. So no matter what you banish, with your Pot of Desires, there's still a good chance that you'll have plays to go into. You don't need one specific card in this deck to make your play. You just need to have a good amount of hand cards to rely on making those plays. And I also run 2 Where Art Thou as the final spell in the deck. It's another level 1 searcher. If you just need that one specific Lyrilusc card, you can easily special summon out another Lyrilusc from your hand and then use Where Art Thou and then have that normal summon search so you don't take the 2,000 points of damage with this card. Even if you do take the damage, the only life you're really paying otherwise in this deck is for Wing Requital. So then you can at least have this and not too much other burn damage to take. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. The only trap I run in the deck is Harpy's Featherstorm. If you control a Wind Wing Beast monster until the end of this turn, negate any monster effect your opponent activates. If you control a Harpy monster, it doesn't really matter for this deck since we're not running any Harpy monsters in the deck. But this is great because you have your spell option on your turn with Lyrilusc Bird Strike, stopping your opponent's monster effects on your turn. And then if you just set this card and then activate on your opponent's turn, unless they stop the trap, they really don't have much to use against you on that turn for your opponent also, and you have your Lyrilusc monster ready to go on the field the next turn or just as that acting defense card for whatever your opponent may try. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. For the first of our Xyz monsters, I am running 2 Lyrilusc Ensemble Robin. It needs 2 or more level 1 monsters. It gains 500 attack for each material attached onto it. If your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target one of those special summon monsters, return it to the hand. If this card with that option, if this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can target 1 other Lyrilusc monster in your graveyard, add to your hand. There's that recycle power. I only run 2 of it though. It's really all you need for the card, and plus also if it's sent in your possession to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, being able to target just itself if you have 1 other Ensemble Robin can recycle this card back for you to reuse if need be. I also run 3 of the Lyrilusc Recital Starling, more of a searcher card. You just need 2 or more level 1 monsters. When it succeeds summon, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field. It gains 300 attack and defense for each material attached to this card, and once per turn you can detach 1 material to add 1 level 1 Wing Beast monster from your deck to your hand. All battle damage you take from battles involving this Xyz summon card is also inflicted to your opponent. So giving power to your other monsters while this one staying low means you can hit your opponent for some damage and then they'll take the exact same amount because of this card. And I also run 3 of the Lyrilusc Assembled Nightingale. This is one of your more powerhouse cards. It gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. This card can attack directly, and while this card has material, it can attack a number of times up to the battle phase, up to the number of materials attached onto it. So with your different options for your Lyriluscs to attach material onto these cards, and also with the help of Bird Sanctuary, you can hit some pretty big numbers and boosts. Not only that, but with your additional Xyz plays with your Lyrilusc monsters, like your Barrel Canary, being able to give the additional 200 on this card, and the additional power it gets from each material, and the multiple attacks and attacking directly can be the number of damage you need against your opponent to then just swing with your Recital Starling for game. And then the last of the Lyrilusc monsters, I run the 2 Lyrilusc Promenade Thrush. It gains 500 attack for each material attached to it. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck, and at the start of damage step, if another monster you control battles, you can detach any number of materials from this card, and that monster you control gains 300 attack for each material detached until the end of this turn. Another way to just power up your Assembled Nightingale before it attacks. So having it gain that much attack until the end of the turn means that you have the multiple attacks ready to go with Assembled Nightingale, thanks to your Promenade Thrush. The last of the Xyz monsters that I run in the deck is just the 1 Utopic Future. Since you have multiple Xyz monsters in the deck, it's just another option along with your Draco Future to stop your opponent's card effects and then gain control of that card. Also 1 Kikiganashi Fucho as just another rank 1 option, more of a protection card against your opponent. Also 1 Downward Magician for Xyz summoning main phase 2 into it, to then go into your Divine Arsenal, a Zeus Sky Thunder. So you have a card that can potentially send all cards on the field to the graveyard and not have to worry about what your opponent has coming with their field setup. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, it really comes down to what you can make with your Xyz summons. Setting up the Celestine Wagtail in the graveyard with just your Lyrilusc Bird Call by taking it and then either adding it to your hand or sending it to the graveyard. So you can send Celestine Wagtail. If you have the Barrel Canary in your hand, it's all the better because then you can activate Barrel Canary if it's in your hand, targeting the Lyrilusc in your graveyard, special summon both it and this card onto the field, activating your Celestine Wagtail to then add to your hand the either Bird Sanctuary or the Bird Strike, whichever one you need for the play. You would activate the Bird Sanctuary for the draw power. If you control an exceeds monster with 3 or more material, you can activate Bird Strike first, so none of your opponent's monster effects will activate on their field. Then you can overlay the 2 to begin your initial play setup, going with your Lyrilusc Recital Starling, having the 200 boost with this card, being able to target one face-up monster, including itself. You can then also detach the 1 material with this card to search out another level 1 option to this card, having the option to then search out your Cobalt Sparrow or even your go-to Turquoise Warbler. Since you have to control no monsters to special summon the Turquoise Warbler, this will be good before you resolve the first card effects, but also being able to have the option of Sapphire Swallow, since if you control a Wing Beast monster, thanks to your Sapphire Swallow, you can special summon both this card and 1 level 1 from your hand. So if you have the additional level 1 in your hand, you can then summon this card on, and then also have the option for your monster, and this one to send Celestine Wagtail into your Starling there, having 1 more special summon option from your hand with the Sapphire Swallow. If you controlled a level 1 monster, special summoning that monster out additionally can then give you the 2 monsters needed to overlay into 1 more Exceeds monster on the field, being your Assembled Nightingale. With that, you can then have your Bird Sanctuary attach all the material from Recital Starling onto your Assembled Nightingale, giving you the additional draw, and then having the 5 materials on Assembled Nightingale, getting 200 attack for each material. That's 1,000 in total, and 5 attacks in total since it has 5 materials, being 5,000 damage directly to your opponent. But also don't forget the 200 boost from your Barrel Canary, meaning it is attacking 1,200 5 times, being the 6,000 damage needed for a pretty big chunk against your opponents. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, I'm glad I was able to update it again with the more support. We'll see if we get any more. It feels like Lyriluscs are one of the decks from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Archive series that Yuzu's dimensional counterparts used the most now, because it's seeing the most support compared to all 4 of those decks, which is ironic because it actually had the least support for a good while. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.